When was the last time you played a casual game? Not so, not something full of action or saving the world, just something peaceful to kind of help you unwind. Like Flow or Flower from PlayStation Systems. Today we're going to talk about one of those games. Something I saw on the eShop a long time ago and really just wanted to play because of how it looked. A colorful game developed by one person. Here is my review of The First Tree for the Nintendo Switch. The story of The First Tree is actually two stories interconnected together. You play as a fox hunting through the wilderness for her lost children. But this adventure also takes place in a dream that someone in the real world had that's being told to his significant other through a very stressful time of his life. The thing that's really nice about this story is that you've got these two emotional tales that are being told at the same time and are also interconnected to one another. The fox's adventure is its own thing, but it's also a huge representation of what the narrator is going through in his life. You see a lot of real world things that don't really belong in the wilderness that the fox is going through, and even a lot of the fox's actions mirror what the narrator is talking about and what he's going through. When it comes to gameplay, The First Tree is a 3D adventure game with a lot of exploration and platforming elements thrown into the mix. As you play through the game, you're constantly roaming around 3D sandbox environments with the objective of finding pillars of light that will spark new story scenes and push you towards the next area, the next story scene, and the next area, and so on and so forth. And reaching these objectives is where the platforming comes into play. Some of them are just in plain sight in an open field, whereas others are on rock formations that you actually have to jump and double jump across to reach. And the game does have a few ways for you to actually platform and reach these areas. You can jump, double jump, and one area has you collecting butterflies for special high jumps. These mechanics work pretty well, though they do feel a little bit clunky at times. You can easily get stuck to the sides of objects and the environments. And some of the interactable objects are real finicky on whether or not they want to register your input. Now, as we close this section out, there is one thing we need to talk about: the game's length. When I first started researching this game, I heard it was a very short experience, less than an hour long. While it isn't nearly that short, I cleared the game in well under an hour and a half. It's definitely a fun experience, but a short-lived one for the asking price. Now let's dive into presentation. This game is beautiful and colorful. The cel shading looks great in all of the environments, and there's a ton of detail all the way down to the lighting effects, showing different sunshine rays between different trees in some areas. And the music is nice, calming, and just as beautiful as the visual presentation. But there is one nitpick here with the audio. When you listen to all the story scenes and all of the dialogue, you can hear a lot of pops and clicks in the narrator's voice. It isn't so much a problem with the voice quality, but it's something a little editing could quickly fix. And when we get to performance, I have no complaints. The frame rate was nice and steady, I never had a crash or freeze on me. It was optimized really well. And now let's get into battery life, which The First Tree is yet another game in the list of games with more battery life than it takes to beat the entire game. The First Tree has a battery range of 3 hours and 16 minutes on high settings, up to 4 hours and 21 minutes on low settings. Now, in conclusion, The First Tree is a beautiful game, both in terms of visuals and in terms of story. It definitely has some flaws through some slightly clunky mechanics and not a whole lot of content and length for the asking price. But if you're ever in the mood for a calming adventure game, it's a good pick. Reviews to Go rates The First Tree for the Nintendo Switch an 8 out of 10. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them below or head to the website at reviewstogo.com.